Okay, this is a video demonstrating the installation of the Delorean alternator adjustable bracket, tensioner, whatever you want to call it. It's nice. So what you see on the right, this is what you will receive. It's 4 pieces. It's the bracket, the custom made bolt, there's a nut that goes on it, 13 millimeter, and there is a bolt for adjusting it as well. When you receive yours, make sure that this bolt moves freely through the bracket. Just one thing you want to double check before you install it. And this bolt right here is from the old bracket that was in the car. You're going to reuse the bolt and the nut that hold the old bracket onto the engine. This custom bolt is going to hold the bracket onto your alternator, and really that's it. It's a pretty easy install. So when you take your old bracket out, make sure you save the bolt and nut that were on that. It's going to thread through right here, and that's what will hold it to the engine. So let's go ahead and get started with the installation of this item. Okay, and as I just mentioned, everything in your kit is 13 millimeter. So you'll need a 13 millimeter wrench to do the install. I recommend an open end wrench and a socket, which you'll see me use those in just a moment. And this is the correct way for it to go. All right, gonna hand tighten it. Okay, moves freely. I'm gonna go ahead and take this nut off of the custom bolt. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and take the long adjusting bolt off as well. When you receive your kit, it's all gonna be bolted together just so it's not bouncing around and shipping. But as you can see, what I just did is I took the custom bolt, put it through the bracket, through the alternator, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put that nut on the end of that custom bolt. And I'm just gonna just hand tighten. Really, it's still loose. We're not gonna tighten things up until they are on the until the bolt is tightened, I should say. So you can see how freely that moves now. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is gonna go ahead and put my belt, onto the alternator, making sure it's still on my crankshaft pulley and on my water pump. And then I'm just gonna kind of move that by hand just to make sure that's nice and tight. Now you may have to loosen where the top of your alternator mounts to the engine as well, just so you can get some play to wiggle that back and forth. On this one, I keep it a little bit loose, so I'm not having to do that for the purpose of this video. But okay, so that's almost it. We're almost done here. We're gonna go ahead and put our long bolt in the bracket and into that custom bolt. And it's really simple. It's just righty-tighty. So we're just gonna, I'm doing it by hand for now, but in a second we'll get our socket on there. And you just tighten it until that belt's like you want it to be. Now it looks like that belt is touching the bolt, but rest assured, once we get this thing, see how loose it is? Once we get the thing nice and tight, it's not going to be near it, and it'll be fun. So I'm going to put my 13 millimeter on here, and just going to tighten it until that belt is snug like it needs to be. Nice thing about this is you're not having to get a pry bar in that alternator and having to pry it back, and hopefully you have it just right. This one, you can, with this bracket, you can really just adjust it just like you need to. I mean, you can really set it however you want. You don't have to worry about holding a pry bar and worrying about it slipping while you're in the middle of tightening the bracket. All right, that belt's getting there. Oh, got a little wire that came loose from my oil pressure sensor. Put that back. Okay, that is nice and snug. I'm gonna give it a few more little turns. Yeah, I'm happy. Well, I'll do a few more. Don't want to go too tight and then wear out your belt early, but I think that's good. And then you can start your engine up, make sure it's like you want. Once you're confident that it's like you want, you can go ahead and finish tightening everything. So I'm going to tighten where the bracket goes onto the engine. Okay, so that's nice and snug. And then it's a little difficult to get a socket on here on the nut that's attached to the custom bolt. So I'm just going to use a little wrench. Just righty-tighty. Oops, dropped my wrench. And that's it. That is how you install your custom alternator bracket. Nice and snug.